Good evening, everybody. Thank you for logging on to our webinar. This evening, what we are going to do, since we had a lot of Zoom issues last week, is we're going to combine last week's webinar with this week's webinar. So Ms. Kenya will be reviewing both webinars, and since the information is similar and blends well together, this is good for you guys, so you're not missing out on anything. So Mr. J, when you're ready to start recording. We will have our chat and Q&A open, so if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and I'll let Kenya know and she can address them as they come along. All right, good evening, everybody. Thank you for logging on to our webinar. Again, as stated, since we had Zoom issues last week, this week we will have a combination webinar of last week's presentation as well as this week. So we will be going over the New York State MWBE application process and supporting documents and learning the tools for the application as well, right, Ms. Kenya?
Yes.
So Ms. Kenya Harvey, who is our MWBE consultant over at Suffolk Community College Entrepreneurial Assistance Center, will take it away.
Thank you, Ms. Jennifer.
You're welcome.
And I do want to thank everyone for logging on tonight. I know I've made a few calls out just to confirm attendance, and I thank everyone who I spoke with for showing up. I'm just going to share my screen to get the presentation up. So as Ms. Jennifer stated, that this presentation, it will be a blend of the two workshops. And again, feel free to either raise your hand, put a question in the chat, or in the Q&A. Okay. So we will be doing Learn the New York State MWBE certification application and the supporting documents and the tools that you can use to network and secure procurement opportunities. Again, this is being presented by me, Kenya Harvey, the MWBE consultant here at the center. So I just wanted to share that in 2023, there were approximately $3 billion awarded to minority and women-owned businesses, right, that participated in state contracts. Overall, there were $29 billion awarded since 2011, right? And this is per the governor, Kathy Hochul, and it was announced at our 2023 MWBE Forum in Albany. So in light of learning these numbers, right? And especially to where you would want to take your small business, right? But how much of that do you want, right? How much of this 29 billion would you want, right? But guess what? It all starts with becoming certified. So Article 15A, I talked a little bit about this in the intro to the MWBE certification. Article 15A of the executive law was signed into law on July 19, 1988. This law was the one that created the Division of Minority and Women's Business Development, and its goal is to promote employment and business opportunities on state contracts for minorities and women. And under this law, the New York State agencies are charged with establishing employment and business participation goals for minorities and women. There are a few amendments to the Article 15. The governor signed a new MWBE law on July 15th, 2019, which extended the MWBE program to 2024, so this year, right? We're actually waiting on, the decision of that, the outcome of the findings of that study, hoping soon, right? The personal net worth increased to 15 million, with the 1.3 million threshold to complete the application. And the recertification period changed from 3 years to 5 years. Give me a little bit more time to utilize the certification. So a little bit about the Division of Minority and Women's Business Development. Their mission is to promote equality of economic opportunities for MWBEs and to eliminate barriers to their participation in state contracts. Their key objectives are to encourage and assist state agencies to award a fair share of contracts to the MWBEs, review applications by businesses seeking the certification, and maintain a directory of certified MWBEs. And lastly, to promote the business development of MWBEs through education and outreach to New York State agencies, as well as MWBEs. I do see a question in the chat. Okay, it's okay. It's not a question, so I'll keep moving on. Certification. So the types of certifications that you can apply for, right? We have the MBE certification, which are for minority business owners. It can be either a woman or a woman or a man applying for this certification who have the backgrounds are eligible for the certifications. The WBE certification is for women business owners, which are non-minority and minority women can apply for this certification. And then we have the MWBE certification, which are for minority women business owners. So minority, the person is a minority in addition to being a woman. And as you can see that the minority and women business owners do receive both certifications. Eligibility requirements. So under the Article 15A of the executive law, any for-profit firm that is at least 51% owned, operated, and controlled by citizens or permanent resident aliens who are either a woman and or a minority is eligible for certification. List of minority groups who are eligible are Black persons having origins from any of the Black African racial groups, Hispanic persons of Mexican, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Cuban, Central, or South American descent of either Native American or Latin American origin, regardless of race, Asian Pacific persons having origins from the Far East, South Asia, or the Pacific Islands, Asian Indian subcontinent persons having origins from the Indian subcontinent, Native American persons having origins in any of the original peoples of North America. Eligibility continued. All businesses seeking MBE, WBE, or MWBE certification must be independently owned, and I stress owned, independently operated and controlled by a minority or the woman member. They must demonstrate business activity and be in operation for at least a year. The ownership must be real, substantial, and continuing, and the minority and or woman member must exercise the authority to independently control day to day. The personal net worth restriction, each minority or woman owner upon whom the certification is based upon cannot have the net worth exceed $15 million after the allowable deductions. So this does not include ownership interest in the certified MWBE firm, does not include individuals' equity in the primary residence. Sorry for that. And up to 750,000 of any qualified retirement savings plan. Does not include. Eligibility requirements continued, and they also cannot exceed 300 employees, full or part-time. This is a small business restriction. Out-of-state applicants, firms, the firm is to be currently certified as an MWBE in their home state if this process exists before applying for the certification in the state of New York, right? The business must be registered and authorized to conduct business in the state of New York and have a presence in New York. All applicants must have the authority to do business in New York State from the New York State Department of State prior to submitting the MWBE certification application. And to learn how you can do that, or instructions of getting the form, getting the forms, you would contact the Department of State, Division of Corporations, and there's a phone number here, 518-473-2492, or you could send them an email at corporations@dos.state.ny.us. I don't see any questions in the chat.
No,
I'll
no
keep going.
questions.
Thank you. So we'll jump a little bit more into the mandatory documents that we'll need to upload to this application. Proof of citizenship, the ethnicity and gender, which can include birth records, right? US passports, military records, or green cards would provide proof of this. Business documents would include now the NYS 45 forms would be useful if you have employees, right? If you're paying your employees or you're paying yourself, the NYS 45 and the W-3 forms would be necessary. Any loans and credit agreements, you would need to supply those documents as well. Leases and supply agreements. For sole proprietor, the business certificate from the county's clerk office, and your personal and business taxes for 2022 and 2023, right? And for that structure. Now, partnership and LLCs, the assumed name certificate from the county clerk, the operating / partnership agreement, and your articles of incorporation for that LLC. Corporation structure, just your certificate of incorporation and your filing receipt. The bylaws, your stock ledger, your corporate meeting minutes, and the most recent year of the personal and business taxes, including the 1065 and Schedule K1 tax forms. So again, they want to see the complete return, right? Your professional background, the documents that support that would be your resume, your professional license or permit or certifications. Now, I do want to share that on your personal resume, you do want to have your business position, your title, and your business information on your resume. Okay. So it does need to be updated to include that information. The 1-year business activity requirement waiver. So, the eligibility requirement is that your business be active and be in business for at least 1 year, right? But if your business has not been entirely in operation for a year, there is some time that we could like buy back, right? To help, suffice the 1 year requirement. Usually that if you were able to show or can demonstrate that a client that you've assisted way before legally forming this business, and got paid for doing that service through either check or electronic payment, would be some of the documents you would use to submit to request this waiver. Response time is usually 2 to 3 weeks from the time that the analyst or the reviewer receives it. And I just want you to know that decisions are made case by case, right? So it really depends. There's nothing universal that the analyst will follow to make this decision. It just really depends on the request. Once approved, we will include a copy of the approval in which will be in the document list with the certification affidavit. Now, to obtain the waiver, you can either contact me, and I can assist you through this process, or you can contact the MWBE certification unit at mwbecertification@esd.ny.gov, or you can give them a call at 212-803-2414 to see if they could send you the information to get started or just to assist you along the way in this process. So let's jump into the this New York State contract system. In the New York State contract system is where you would go to complete the certification application, right? If you see to my left, the first tab, which says certify or recertify with New York, you will click on that. You click on this tab, scroll down to choose option 1 to create an account and create your profile, your username and password to get in and out of this site. Once you're able to get in and out of the site by creating a username and password, you will go on and open up a new application. There's going to be several questions that you'll have to check off to see if that's, your case. And then before the application opens. So they'll know which application type you need to complete and for which purposes. I also wanted to share that you can also update your profile here. So if it's you complete an application and you're doing, let's say, cleaning services and you're doing floors, right? But soon you're going to be doing like windows, right? But you're not doing windows now. So we can't claim that activity at this time in the application. When you start doing it and getting paid for the service is when we can actually do a profile update to show that you actually included a new service into your operation. Jen, is there anything in the chat? I do see something there.
Yes, we were just asking if this will be sent out by email, which I did let them know that our recording will be on our email. I
Okay.
mean, it will be on our YouTube. We can email the link here on the bottom of the screen where where everyone would go to create an account to start their application, and any documents we have on hand that will be needed in the application.
Okay. So I'm just gonna continue, right? There's something in Q&A, I'll just check it. Oh, okay, no worries. I'm being mindful of the presentation and you've got your questions, so just bear with me.
I'll let you know if there's any questions for you to answer, anything I can't answer in the chat.
Okay, thanks a lot for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, so this is where you would go to complete the application. I have the URL on the bottom. So if you want to, you can even Google it. I mostly go in and Google it and the link comes right up. But I put it here for your convenience if those who rather use this URL to get it. Okay. So the application process. I just spoke a little bit on the previous slide that you would choose option 1 to create a business profile and your username and password. And then you would go in and start the new application. So once you open up the application, there's at the top check boxes for whether you want to do it WBE or MBE. For MWBE qualified individuals, please check off both boxes. You just do yourself a disjustice applying for only one certification when you can do both at one time. So I urge you to check the boxes at the top. Now, I just wanted to share that the system will provide this application based on your business structure. So if you're a sole proprietorship, you'll get an application with questions pertaining to your sole proprietorship, like your business certificate. They would want you to upload a copy of that. And other, questions that may pertain to, this type of setup. For LLCs, you may want to get it'll ask for your articles of incorporation, right? Meeting minutes, right? As a corporation structure, you are required to have an annual meeting, right? Same place, same time, same location, every year. Well, how's business, how are we moving along with business, right? What is the agenda for the day? What type of business are you discussing in this meeting? Now, if you are a one-man show, you still could have a meeting, right? There has to be someone deciding on who's running, how the business is going to run, right? And what's going to happen for it to be, for it to grow, right? So you could be the only one there. Your name would only be the one in the minutes. So definitely meetings every year. Electronic upload versus fax or mailing and supported documents. So I advise always choosing the electronic upload versus the fax or the mailing, because electronic, I mean, the information is right there, right? There's no need for the analyst to no, your application sitting there and you're wondering why when you faxed or mailed in those supporting documents that the analyst never received. So to keep everything in one place and convenient for you and the analyst, I always advise to do electronic. I've learned that this is the best route. Know your supporting documents, right? Know what you need, and know which ones are required. So if you don't have the ones that the application is asking for, you could request it, or you could, get it from wherever you need to get it so that you're able to get it in time to upload with the application. Once you open the application, you want to monitor the date of deletion. The application will be saved on the system for 90 days. After that, it gets deleted. So the work that you've been doing will be gone and you wouldn't be able to retrieve it. So in order to keep this from deleting, you would have to push the extend button before the due date, before that extend date runs out. And you could push it. Now it will save for, it will extend for weeks at a time. So each week it will extend so you could extend it for as long as you can, but don't let it delete on you because then you would start all over again. So in this application, there's going to be questions that are not applicable to you or your business setup. And in that regard, you would create a Word document that says not applicable and state under this why it's not applicable. Submitting the document not applicable without the reason why will not be accepted. Okay, so again, for questions that are not applicable, just simply create that Word doc, write not applicable, and why it's not applicable. So let's say one of the questions is not applicable because let's say there's a question about it being a domestic business. You have to get certificate of authority to operate here, right? If you're a domestic business, this would be not applicable, right? Not applicable. And why? Because the business operates in New York State. So you don't need a certificate of authority to operate here. So every question must be answered, right? Now, if there's a question that you cannot answer or you don't have the documentation that's requested, I would advise to write this explanation on company letterhead and state why, right? Sign it, right? Makes it more official. And then application assigned for review. So I just wanted to share also that previously the applications was broken up into 4 phases, right? I just wanted to share that phase system is no longer, and they actually have caught up on the backlog of the applications that they have, making it the process more smoother, quicker for you to hear back on the status of the application. So now the applications, once submitted, will get assigned to a person, an individual, and not a team or a department to handle that phase review. So if any case that you submit an application and you still want to just know the status if you're not seeing it online, to give them a call. Simply give the help desk a call, and even to extend um date of the application date. You would have to call the MWBE help desk for them to do so. And again, their contact information is the MWBE certification at esd.ny.gov, or you can give them a call at 212-803-2414 to request extension. So also, briefly discussed in the intro, setting up your vendor profile. Why is a vendor profile important? Because it acts as an electronic business card, right? It's accessible to the primes and other firms, state agencies and authorities. It may lead to potential business opportunities. So what I would suggest doing, be sure to keep this business information up to date, right? Any business can have a vendor profile, regardless of the certification status. The profile is not the same as completing the certification application. So again, you don't have to complete an application for the certification, but setting up your vendor profile will allow buyers, primes, other MWBEs to search, for you, search for services. And you would be noticed if you're in the system. And it could lead up to, opportunity. Because again, they're looking for certified MWBEs to fulfill a project. So let's drop into the application breakdown. So in the application, section 1 there are 8 sections that you would fill in. And then the last section would be the document list, right? But I'm going over the first 8 sections now before I jump into the document. So section 1 is the company profile. In this section, you're going to add the business information, 3 years gross receipts, which are 21, 22, and 23. So if you just started a business in 2022, right, and didn't make any money, 21 and 22 would be zero, right? It's 0, 0. And 23, you would have to put a profit, right? Because the certification is for profit businesses only. Nonprofits cannot apply, right? And the number of employees. So if you have no other employees and you're a one-man show, it should be 0 across the board for employees. Section 2 is ownership information. Here is where you would add owners' information, their sources of capitalization, and names of the board of directors. Number 3, commodities and services. This is a very sensitive area, I say, because here is where you would add a detailed description of your services that you provide and select your NACIC codes. Now, the detailed description of services, I stress a lot because this is where you want to be detailed. And I say detailed, this is how your description should be, because you don't want to miss out on any opportunity just for not being detailed enough to include services that you provide, but didn't list in the detail in the description. So we'll talk a little bit more about having a detailed description. Section 4, business operations. This is where you're going to list the owner's managerial responsibilities. Also in sections 4C and 4D is the proof of business activity. So the ones that are currently going on and the ones that you have completed. So scenario, you don't currently have something going on, but maybe you have completed something in 22 or 21, you still want to note that. Because again, you have to demonstrate for profit. You have to be making, getting your services paid by your clients to show to prove the activity. Okay. And then and that's to list the last 3 years business activity for your largest clients, the largest amounts, right? You want to use. I'm going to jump in. It says previous years. So again, I talked a little bit about that already. So 2021, and then the current would be 24, not 23. Section 5, companies, assets, and liabilities. In this section, you're going to list rented or leased office space, the warehouse, plant, or yard space your business occupies. So you will need to, if you have a space that you're renting, you would have to provide the lease agreement. If you're operating from, let's say, your home, right? You will need, and it's a home that you purchased, so it's, you're the owner of that property. So you would have to supply your deed or the mortgage statement with this question here. Application section, continue, breakdown continue. So section 6, relationships with other businesses. So in this section, you're going to add your relationships with other firms, right? So if you have a day job and you're operating this business part-time, you would note that day job here and your roles in that job, whether it's employment or maybe you own another business. If you're a supervisor or manager in another business, those type of questions you would have to supply answers for in this section. Section 7, so it starts to get a little lighter towards the end. So section 7 and section 8 are just questions that either yes or no and pertain. If you have an accountant or an attorney, you would just add in their information. And it's now including consultants. So if you have a consultant you're working with, you can also include them as well in section 7. Section 8, here, other certifications, is where you can check a box, right? Are you certified with other agencies? Yes or no? So that would be the first 8 sections of the application. Very doable. So let's jump into the mandatory supporting documents. So these are mandatory documents that are in the certification application. So we have the certification application affidavit, which must be notarized, page 4. We have the attachment A, which is the net worth form. You would need to calculate your net worth and indicate this on this form, in which I will show you in a moment briefly. Attachment B is your personal financial statement worksheet, is the sheet that you could use to help calculate your net worth. And then it's the ethnicity attestation clause, which is required when applying for MBE certification. So if you're a minority business owner, you would need, and applying for MBE certification, you would need to complete this form in the application. It's a must. If you are a woman and a minority and applying for MWBE certification, this form should be in the application as well. Now, I am noticing that in the application, this form is not in the one for applying for both applications, the M and the W. So which means you would need to get this form, which you can, I believe they can't, this is online, at the ESD website, or you can contact the MWBE help desk and have them, direct you to getting a copy for this, for that application. But you will need to get this notarized. Okay, and I'll show you in a moment. Let's see if we can do that now. In a moment.
Miss Kenya, we have a question in the Q&A.
Sure.
How would you consider the financials of your husband? How would you account for real estate net worth?
Mhm. So it's outside everything besides your primary residence, right? So if it's you and your husband and you in your house where you live, your primary residence, you don't have to count it. But if you and your husband have rental property outside of your primary residence, it would be half. It would be half.
Does that go for your real estate net worth as well? How do you calculate it? How do you count real
Well,
estate?
your real estate net worth, I mean, that's something where I would think you would speak with your accountant or someone else in that area to help you calculate that. But for purposes of the certification, your personal net worth does not include your primary residence. It does include every other property or real estate outside of the primary residence. And in calculating that, you would use half of the value of the residence, right? So if you have multiple, so then you add up half for each one, get the total at the end, right? Minus any liabilities or anything that you may have with the property. Yeah,
And then we do have another question. Does it matter how many businesses you own?
no, no.
All right, that is
Each
all questions
business
for
can
now.
get certified. But again, I stress independently operated and controlled. So again, if you have multiple businesses, to keep in mind that they have to operate independently of each other. Okay, let me just pull up these forms. The forms here. Okay, this is a certification affidavit. This is a 4-page or 5 if you have a partnership. Let's go to page 4. This is page 4. Page 4 gets notarized. I want to show you what it looks like. There's 2 sections here. There's the top and the bottom. Both sections are to be notarized. And then the attachment A. So personal net worth form. So this is where you would add that dollar amount of your personal net worth, and then you would get this notarized at the bottom, right? So I think the challenge would be, if you don't already know it, is just calculating your net worth. And to help you do that, we are going to go to a moment. This worksheet here. This is the attachment B worksheet. This is the sheet that you'll use to help calculate your net worth. Now, what I would think to do or advise you to do to help you, if you don't unsure of the number, use this first page here to help calculate it. Your assets minus your liabilities will get you your adjusted personal net worth. Okay. Start plugging in some numbers, right? If any of these don't pertain, it will be zero. Don't worry if you see a negative number here for your net worth or even very low. Don't worry about that. Just, be sure to be as accurate as possible. And yeah, and submit this here and use this to submit. Now, we don't have to upload this to the application unless your net worth exceeds the 1.3 million threshold.
Miss
Right?
Kenya, we're not seeing the worksheet.
Oh,
We're looking at the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey,
let
the
me stop
addendum.
here. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I hope this is it now. How about now?
Yes, we see the worksheet now.
Okay, thank you. I'm not sure why that didn't switch over. But so yeah, this is the one page that this first page is what you'll use to help calculate it. And it'll be your assets minus the liabilities will get you your net worth. So I say, just start plugging in numbers here. Whatever pertains to you, whether if you have cash on hand or in banks, if you have cash in your savings account, any IRA or other retirements, life insurance, stocks and bonds, accounts and notes receivable, any automobile value, all of this. So whatever pertains to you, put those numbers in, add them up, and then minus the assets minus the liabilities will get you the net worth. Okay. I believe I have to go back. I believe there was one more, the ethnicity clause. Hold on one moment. Let me go back in. Because we did the certification affidavit, the attachment A, and we went through the attachment B. So let's do the ethnicity clause. One moment. Grab that for you. This is the big ethnicity clause. This is the one that's needed to be uploaded in the MBE application. And in the MWBE application, because this form is not there to download, like how we would see the download button for the certification affidavit, the attachment A, it's not there for this. And I'm not sure why not. And I'm hoping someone picks up on that soon to include this so that you don't have to go fishing for it. Because what I'm noticing now is that once we submit this application and you're applying for my MBE, they're going to ask you to get this notarized. The analyst will request this form. So might as well have it in when it's submitted. So that'll make the process a little less, stressful or doesn't decrease the speed of the process based on you having to get forms notarized or submit back to the analyst. Okay, so don't worry about that. Just going to go back to the presentation now. You guys, is my presentation up? I don't think so. Do you see the presentation, Jen? Because I see it on my side, but I may have to stop sharing and then go back in.
Where can you find the affidavit? I mean, no, not the affidavit, the ethnicity clause.
So when you open, it's in the application, it's downloaded. Once you open the application and get to the document list, um, it's in the WBE. It's not in the MBE. It's actually, I'm sorry, it's in the MBE application and not in the MWBE application. So you don't need to go back and open up an MBE, but when you open up the application for the certification, before it goes to the application, it'll give you a list of the documents that you're going to need to notarize or complete to upload. So you'll see it, it should be there. If it's not there, I would go to the Empire State Development website and look at the form, see if the form is there. Or reach out to me or the help desk to see if they can send you that form. But you will need that form to complete. Good? Okay, so in this application, I also want to share the addendums. So I call this application the one-stop shop because in this application, you can apply for three other MWBE certification with three other agencies if you are eligible to do so. In this application, you can complete the New York City Department of Small Business Services addendum for the MWBE. Also, on this addendum for the New York City, page 3, it's going to require you to have an FMS vendor number, which is obtained in the payee information portal named PIP. So you would go here to request the vendor number, do a series of asking questions, and at the end, you will get the vendor number and the W-9, the New York City W-9 form. The next addendum with the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey must be notarized. These forms are in the application in the document list towards the bottom. You just have to push the download button, download them, print them, and then upload them back to the question. But again, the Port Authority form must get notarized. There's a notarized page. Now, the County of Erie and City of Buffalo, the Joint Certification Committee addendum is in there. You can apply for that. But keep in mind that, you know, you have to have a business presence in that area. Also, depending on the type of services that your business provides, how are you going to get to Erie to provide this service? Do you have the capacity to go back and forth, or do you have the capacity to hire new employees to work the contract in that area? So things to think about before actually completing this addendum. Yeah, I would definitely complete it. Now, if you are a consultant and you can provide a virtual service, or if, not other than just consultants, if you're able to provide a hands-on service or even go there, you surely should apply. And so it really depends on the industry. If you're able to do the work remotely, or if it's, you personally could get there to do it, I would say go for it. So I talked a little bit about this in the intro, and I thought I would talk about it again. The source of capitalization, because completing this application, you will have to input your source of capitalization, right? The business owners could use, let's say, any of these activities as startup investments, right? And use that as their source of capitalization. So like say, if you had to purchase major equipment, your business isn't making money, but you had to take out a loan or maybe use your personal credit card to buy equipment, that's definitely your source of capitalization, right? Even vehicles or trucks. If you had to use your personal vehicle coming into this business, or maybe you're doing delivery services and you're using a personal vehicle, yes, definitely a source of capitalization, or even a truck, right? If you had to go take out a loan to do I don't know, delivery or something, that's definitely a source, right? Even registering your business with Department of State or even the county clerk's office is also a source of a source of capitalization, right? If you had to buy inventory, and most importantly, your expertise. So let's say you're coming in from, let's say marketing, right? You specialize in it. You went to school for marketing. You have certifications. You're starting a business involved with marketing. You're coming into this with expertise, and should be in that list of a source of capitalization, right? Your expertise. How are the questions looking, Jen?
No questions at this moment.
Okay, great. So I said I would come back to the business description here. So here, again, we want the business descriptions on this directory to be very detailed so that you don't miss out on any opportunities. I assisted a client doing a detailed description, and I said same thing, don't miss out on any opportunities, be as detailed as possible, list all the services that you provide. And that happened. And the same day that the person got certified, um, opportunities came to them, $15,000 opportunity for one of the activities in the description. And it wasn't even like at the top of the description or towards the middle. It was like towards the bottom, right? He had that in there. And they saw it, right? And reached out, right? And this is what we want buyers to do based on this description. So let's use this area as a way to brand your services, market your services to the procurement arena, right? To other agencies, other MWBEs, just market yourself here in that directory for others to see. So this example that I'm providing here, it would be more, I use this a lot because it's very detailed to the point where you're like, what activity is that, right? So the first example, I provide environmental consulting services. One liner, which does not say anything. To me, I know that you do consulting, right? Environmental consulting. But what does that consist of, right? But if you look at the description right below it, our firm specializes in providing terrestrial, ecological, environmental services. Okay, it's getting there, right? Our primary areas of expertise include flora and fauna surveys, biological inventories, wetland delineations, rare species surveys, and habitat suitability assessments, vernal pool surveys, invasive species identification and mapping, habitat community evaluations and mapping, bird surveys by sight and sound, species monitoring using unmanned aircraft, i.e. drone, right? A mouthful, right? I don't think if he did leave off anything or the owner of this description left off anything, it would be hard to tell, right? There's a lot of activities going here and it showed, especially as to where it's specializing in environmentally, terrestrial, ecological, right? So this is how detailed your description should be. The one line or the two line, no, it doesn't say much, right? Even if you have to do a one line and do bullets, if you want to bullet it, try it that way. But the one liner doesn't say much and it doesn't give that buyer the opportunity to even, give you a call unless they want to inquire more, but that'd just be on up to their own regard to do so. But yeah, be very detailed. So, and again, in this application, your NACIC codes will be very important because they determine or say what activity your business is providing, right, or performing. So you using the NACIC code lookup in the application to search for the codes, right? If you don't know what they are right now, all you have to do is, type in the activity that you are searching to get the number, the code for. But I just want you to know that codes for activities that you're not doing and the business will not be approved. So that proof of activity that you'll need to provide, the invoice or a copy of the signed contract agreements between you and your client, and a description of that work being performed, will get you the code. And proof of the payment will get you that NASIC code. So if you want to get, let's say, the NASIC code for a service that, let's say you just incorporated a service, not at the time of the application, but like as soon as the application was submitted, maybe a month later, you started doing it. Again, you could always update the codes later on the application site. The application process was submitted. So again, the phase process review is obsolete. Applications are now being assigned to an analyst. Once the app is signed and submitted, the process is quicker for the app to be received and assigned since the backlog was depleted. The analyst will send an email requesting additional documents for more clarification if needed. Okay. And I say if the Q&A comes back and it's, let's say, 1 to 4 questions, you're in good shape, right? I've seen the questions come back, let's say 12 questions and questions within a question. When it's like that, it's very confusing for the analysts, right? They can't really make sense of what you're trying to tell them in this application. And 12 questions with questions inside of questions means the application or the documents submitted were not clear enough for them to make a decision, right? So they have to get more clarification. Here I'm providing the contact information for the MWBE certification help desk. So if you want to just reach out to them to learn about this, you know, this, anything about the application or statuses, extensions, the waivers, you give them a call here. 212-803-2414. There's a person who does answer the phone. The most I've heard is maybe they will either, if they weren't, they may direct you on who to email to get your questions to. But for the most part, they're very helpful at the number when you call. So once you become MWBE certified, what next, right? Well, most of you may know that you prepare a capability statement, right? A capability statement is your marketing document called the business resume that provides a brief synopsis of the business background and capabilities that is then given to target agencies, right, or authorities for their upcoming opportunities or projects. This statement should be straightforward and to the point, highlighting the company's area of expertise. The statement should be labeled and not more than 1 page. And another reason why I would call it a resume, because resumes should be 1 pages unless you are a seasoned or more mature, professional that may have 2 pages. Now, in this statement, the focus points are the differentiators, the company data, core competencies, the contact information. Okay.
Miss Kenya, we have a question.
Oh, sure.
Does the certification apply for RFPs in the DOE?
Department of Education, right? Does this so if you New York State certified, yes, it should, right? You have to be certified to join into these agencies that have goals, right? MWBE goals, right? You should come in certified already. Now, that's another conversation on what opportunities they may have for certified MWBEs there. I would suggest reaching out to them and learning about the process there of coming aboard with that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Not yet.
Okay, I'll keep going. So sections of the capability statement, right? So we have core competencies. In this section, you're going to provide a short statement connecting your company's experience to the buyer needs, right? You want to be brief and use short sentences, no lengthy paragraphs. Products and services can be listed using bullets, right? For past performance, you're going to list top customers that have a similar scope of work of the goods and services that the agency is currently seeking. So again, you're going to tailor your capability statement to fit the need of the agency that you're seeking to do business with. Okay. In the past performance, you're going to include brief descriptions of the work performed on past work. You could use a dollar amount for each project. This will show your capacity to complete jobs, small or big. You can use the dollar amounts. Be sure to have the client's contact info, right? Such as their name, title, email, and the number ready if it's requested by the agency buyer, let's say to get a reference or so forth. Differentiators. What sets your company apart from competing vendors, right? Um, Clearly articulate your company's value added. Sorry. Value added and how it distinguishes you from the current competition. For example, do you have a competitive advantage in your pricing? Right? Let's just put this. Right, in your pricing? Or do you have quality in your products and services? Does your delivery services promote customer satisfaction? These are some of the differentiators that will set you apart from your competition. Company data. So sections of the capability statement continue. Company data. Describe your company's business capacity, number of employees, years of business operations, and certification types. Include the industry codes associated with your services, right? So industry codes, what does that look like, right? You would go to the industry classification websites to determine the appropriate code for your business, right? So we have the National Institute of Governmental Purchasing, which is the NIGP codes. We have the product service codes, the PSC. We have construction codes, the CSIs, and then we have NASIC codes, which are the North American Industry Classification System, which is used to classify businesses. Also on this statement, there's going to be an area for contact information. So you want to include your name, title, right? Your email, phone, website, all social media, right? And if you can include testimonials, awards, and accomplishments as well. So I'm just jumping in to show you samples of this capability statement and those same sections that we just discussed. This looks like a template that can be used to help guide you through the creation of your capability statement. One, the capability statement must be labeled capability statement and have your logo and contact information with a specific person's name, title, phone, and email listed. And then we have, it's broken off into different sections, the ones we just discussed. So again, you could always, and I just want you to look over here where it says list specific pertinent codes and data. All of the codes would be listed here, right? So you have the DUNS, you have a cage code, your NASIC codes, if you're New York State certified, if you're New York City certified, if you're certified with the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, if you're Suffolk County certified, Nassau County, all that will be listed here. So that buyer can see, that you're well versed and you're certified, right? If you are a contractor and you need licensing, you'll list it here as well, right? Any permits or certifications all go on the statement. But be sure to have all sections on this one page. So here's another design of a capability statement. And it's really one that's really eye-catching, right? Compared to this one here, I mean, I see it, it has a few colors border here. There's a border there. But this one pops, right? You have its color. It has your logo here at the top. It's labeled capability statement, right? And I believe the company information is here, contact info listed. But look at the NASIC codes. This company performs a lot, right? They have a lot of activities that they do. Now, my suggestion would be to use the NASIC codes that you were given through the New York State MWBE certification app, and what you were signed from ESD, all right, from this department. But I've noticed that businesses are adding more and more codes because these are the services that they're providing in the business. And I say, you could do that, right? But what I've seen is that the buyers only want to do work with certified MWBEs whose activity is noted, right, with the program itself. So if you have a NASIC code for um driving truck driving, and you are now doing I don't know, window washing, right? You can't do the window washing because your NASIC code is for truck driving. So the buyer would request you to have the code. So they would request or seek out businesses with the codes that they're looking for. Okay. And they can even go into this database and do a code search by code, right? Or by activity for you. Federal contracting opportunities. So your CAGE code, which goes on your capability statement, is a commercial and government entity code. It is 5 characters, and it's for companies that want to do business with the federal government. It's called the SAM, System for Award Management. Here, you could register to do business with the U.S. government. This is something new, which happened since COVID. Apply for the unique identifier number instead of using your DUNS, right? So there's a whole process that you would do before you could even create a new entity, register a new entity, is to first they have to ID you, right? On this site, you can either update or renew an entity registration. You could check the status of an entity registration. You could search for entity registration and exclusion records, and you get your cage code. Now, this is every year that you would reapply for this registration. It's only active for 1 year. And to go the site to where you would go to complete this registration would be sam.gov. Dun & Bradstreet. Dun & Bradstreet is another number you will need to put on your capability statement. It is free to apply for. It is needed before you can bid on any government proposals. And a number must be provided. So if you're a business owner with multiple locations, a number must be provided for each location. So each location must have their own DUNS number. New York City procurement opportunities. So I know many of you may know about the payee information portal, and may be registered there to receive payments from New York City. But the payee information portal is a service which allows businesses to be a payee vendor for New York City. On this site, you can manage your account information, view financial transactions with New York City, and more, right? To get started, you would click on an activate button to complete an electronic application that can take 20 to 30 minutes to complete. Once the registration is complete, you will receive the vendor number, right? And your W-9. And then this will allow you to start receiving those payments. But in addition to registering in the PIP, the passport procurement portal is another site that you would have to go register the business there, register the vendor on this site. Now, the passport is a procurement and sourcing solutions platform that you can view, where you can go to view contracts for New York City, right? You will also, once you register as a vendor here, will receive alerts regarding opportunities based on the codes that you provided, right? So I've seen clients get, opportunities or alerts for contracts from this site. So it definitely pays to be um, registered as a vendor in the passport so that you can maximize your exposure for opportunities. Another agency that you could work with as an MWBE, DBE, or an SDVOB, um, they have opportunities for you, right? Any business can compete for an MCA headquarters or agency contract as a prime contractor or subcontractor, and it doesn't depend on their certification status. So they don't have to be certified to go after a contract. But if a firm is seeking to perform work on a contract that has those mandatory state goals as an MBE or WBE, they must first obtain that certification from Empire State Development, right? Especially the MWBE, DBE. So the DBE and the Services Disabled Veteran Owned Business certification has its own department, right? I can give you that information if you're a veteran and want to apply for this certification. Definitely reach out and I can provide that resource for you. The DBEs is usually with the Department of Transportation. But there are some agencies that do assist with this application, and Empire State Development is being one of them. The firms must be certified as an MWBE, a DBE, or an SDVOB to doing contractor work with the MTA. DBEs must first obtain DBE certification from a certifying partner in the New York State Unified Certification Program. To, to perform work on a contract as an SDVOB, you must first obtain certification from the New York State Office of General Services, the Division of Service Disabled Veterans Business Development Unit. Now, just jumping back a little bit to the MTA procurement opportunities. This is the link to where you would actually go to look up these opportunities with MTA. And check out the networking events as well. Networking for procurement, so you're certified. So to search for opportunities, many may be aware that the New York State contract system, you're able to search for opportunities below 50,000 or above 50,000, and the New York State contract reporter would be two sites to go on. Agency MWBE procurement websites like the MTA, the New York City Small Business Services, the Office of General Services, OGS. We have DASNY and the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. They have the Port Authority has those JFK opportunities. And you know, once certified, this is the only way they would even entertain doing business with you is if you are certified, right? So get certified and then reach out to these agencies, get registered with them to be, you know, as one of their vendors, send them your capability statement, and you know, just wait on the opportunity. And then we have attend the MWBE procurement networking events. So the MWBE forum, which is held every year in Albany. We have the PSCNG Long Island, which is in Uniondale, every year as well. Stony Brook University Fair, that's held at Stony Brook University. You know, you meet the buyers there to work with. So, I mean, there's many avenues to this certification and landing that contract. So, I mean, it's just a matter of you tailoring, creating the capability statement, tailoring it to the agency need, reaching out to there's a list of agencies out there that have MWBE goals and they need to have an MWBE on the contract, you know, and as well as the DBEs and the SDVOBs, you know, there's opportunities for all. So this is where the New York State contract system, I talked about a little bit, sometimes I jump ahead, but where you would go to find bid opportunities below and over 50,000. The New York State contract reporter here is where you would go now, and you can see here, you can look at the bids here. You can look at but you would need to be registered as a vendor put your vendor information in to be able to get the alerts, right? Or to be able to actually view the bid documents, right? You would have to sign in to view the bid documents. So let's create that profile and be able to, fully maximize the site to locating opportunities for your business. We will be having a webinar on um, you know, utilizing how to use this site to look up contractor ads. We're looking at the ads that have goals, where you would see the goals that they're looking for. Um, and I'll actually update you as to the date later on in this presentation. Networking to secure procurement. So how to use the capability to network and with the state agencies and authorities. First, you got to learn the agency's needs. Learn their need. Then you would make a list of the agencies or authorities that you want to do business with, right? Send each buyer your tailored capability statement. You could do it by email, or you could take it to one of the events when you start going out there to network. Any questions?
We have a question in the Q&A. Would you be able to show us how to view the contracts that are expiring? We will actually have a webinar on that, April 11th.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I was actually going to give them the dates of the upcoming. So definitely come to this webinar and you can speak with the site administrator for the New York State Contract Reporter, who will also give us, show you how to search, to use keywords to search for these opportunities. Let me just jump into that. So that'll be on April 11th. So that'll be the New York State contract. It's actually the New York State Contract Reporter. And then May 9th, we having another webinar. Are you ready for government contracting? April 18th, we're having small business trends in 2024. And then we'll have on April 25th, elevating your online presence with advanced web design and analytics. May 2nd, we're going to do Chat GPT. It's AI for business at 7. So definitely look out for those registration links to join these webinars. But April 11, I'd say come ready to learn how to navigate the New York State Contract Reporter with your questions, right? If you want Chris, her name is Chris, to actually show you how to find an opportunity in your industry, just raise your hand and she's very helpful. I know she would be glad to assist you with that. And even outside of the webinar, she also offers one-on-one. So she's amazing and very helpful. Attend this webinar. You'll get her contact information to reach out with her later to set up that one-on-one.
We have another question. Can you network before you're certified?
But yes, yes. Now, you're going to ask if you're certified, right? Now, if your application, if it's open and you're working on it, you let them know your application is in the process, right? Where are you in the process? Well, I'm almost due to signing and submitting this application. Or, well, it's been submitted and the analyst has it. So you may get questions like that. But definitely, again, you could always go after the contracts. It just benefits you um, to have certification. It sets you apart from your competition. If competitor down the road, is not certified, and you are, you'll be getting opportunities, right? So because you have to be certified in order for them to reach out.
We have another question. You mentioned Uniondale. What entity is located there?
So that's the PSE&G, Long Island. It's held at the Marriott Hotel every year. I haven't seen a new location. So Marriott, Uniondale, the PSE&G. And
Mm,
I believe that may be coming up soon, Jen. Do you remember, Brian, I believe it was about spring
I don't
that,
have the date for it, but I do believe it's normally in May, I believe.
yeah, should be coming up. So look out for that as well. Okay, so here is a list of all the classes that we actually provide on Saturdays, the business development classes. This is our schedule for April. So take a look here, and these are in person. So you would have to come here to the office to attend these classes. These classes are free of charge.
All
And
of the registration can be found on our website.
the registration links for the to register for these classes are on the website. Can we put that in the chat, Jen?
Yes, give me one moment to pull it up.
Okay, 1 second. We'll have that there for you. Um, we have so we'll be doing another series of the MWBE, which will be in person here. And we'll start the application hands-on together here. Creating your brand story and digital identity. Microsoft Excel. So we have a Microsoft Office Suite training going on. Again, we're doing a little bit of learning about the application process and supporting documents, elevating your online presence with advanced web design and analytics will be going on as well. Microsoft Excel, again, my MWE, Adobe Photoshop. We'll have that here as well. Looks like we'll have a couple sessions of Adobe, creating a professional LinkedIn profile. That's a step-by-step guide using Canva and Chat GPT. That'll be very interesting on April 27th. So please consider attending any of these classes. These classes are offered at no charge to you. And we look forward to seeing you on Saturdays if you're able to come join us. Are there any other questions before we wrap it up this evening?
Our chat is empty. I'm just looking to see if anything pops up.
Okay. Give it a few more minutes.
So this presentation, this is a question I've got a lot tonight. When are we getting a copy of the presentation? This
Oh,
presentation is posted on our YouTube. So you will receive this whole recording. It's on our YouTube channel.
yes.
We have another question. Is there an opportunity for classes during the week?
Not during the week other than the webinar, but our classes are mainly held on Saturdays. Or we have our business development classes that will be starting in the summer. I'm sorry, 60-hour business training class, and that's on Monday and Wednesdays. You're free to sign up for that class when registration is open for it.
We do have another question. Any idea how long it takes to get notification that you've been certified?
So, like I mentioned in the presentation, the backlog is cleaned up now, right? So I've seen 5 days to get notice of the application being received. Once the application is received, the analyst may have some Q&A for you to answer. And then I would say at about maybe another, for you to get that back, for them to get it to you and get it back, another 5 days. So that's 10 days. And then once they get it back, and then for them to make a decision based on what they have, would be another like 2 or 3 days. So it could be the most 15 days or less. And it really depends on the application. It really depends on, what it looks like. Now, we are holding 2 sessions each month to receive assistance in person with the MWBE application with New York State. So it'll be the first Wednesday of each month and the third Wednesday of the month that we will hold. We'll have a room available, computer room, for us to work on completing this application. And I just want to urge you to attend this class so that you're able to get assistance with your application when you're ready to apply.
I think that is all our questions. Wait, Q&A just popped up. Is there a maximum number of people you'll work with each month?
I don't have a maximum number. No, I don't have a head count right now. I just, if you're in the class on Wednesdays, you'll get assistance.
As many people as can fit a room.
Right. Yes. Are there any other questions?
Do you have to be certified to do business with the federal government?
Uh-huh. So SAM.gov, you would have to create the registration on SAM.gov to get a cage code, right? Your cage code, you need that. But the thing is that, so you have to be certified in SAM.gov to get federal contract opportunities. Not as an MWBE, New York State certification to get federal, it has to be on SAM.gov to get a federal contracting number, which is your cage code. But in that application or in that registration, it will ask you, how do you identify? It will ask you if you're a woman or a minority or a small business owner. It will ask you. And then based on those responses, it will mark you as being one of those, right? Either you're DBE, you're MWBE, SDVOB, or small business, or WBE, or minority owned business. You would just check off the boxes that pertain to you. It will ask.
We have a question. If you're already certified but need assistance with certification updates, is there assistance for this?
What type of certification updates? So if you're already certified and need assistance with certification updates, I'm not sure which updates you would need.
Are you referring to recertifying towards the end of your certification? It says New York, New Jersey Port Authority.
Okay. What do you want to do with New York, New Jersey Port Authority? Because again, you can complete this addendum in the application. Once certified, they will reach out, you would be certified with them. So completing the addendums in the application, it first starts with New York, right? And then it moves over onto like the city or any other and the Port Authority. So they'll all get the addendums, and then if there's additional information that they have or need, they'll reach out, right? And we'll need for you to get them that information. But as far as updates go, to recertify, the New York State recertification period is every 5 years. I do assist with the recertification. I do. If that's what you meant by updates. Any other questions?
I don't see any other questions, but a lot of people have said thank you for tonight's presentation. It has been very informative.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. And I want you to please feel free, if you have not already reached out, to schedule time or to get into the class that's starting April 3rd. You're more than welcome to give us a call here at the center or email us at eapcenter.suny-suffolk.edu to schedule time to work on your certification process.
I want to thank everybody for logging on tonight. Thank you for all of your wonderful questions and being very attentive in our webinar.
Mhm. Thank you.
At this point, we have no other questions. I want to wish everybody a good evening.